It's a pleasure to be with all of you today. I know you have many, many things you could be doing, so I'm grateful for this few minutes we have to share. Um, do put all your questions in the dialogue box for the conversation, the Q&A at the end. This is a confusing thing for a lot of people. It may be new for many of you. Maybe you feel ill-equipped or inexperienced or uncertain. And if you feel any of those things, this is literally why this webinar exists. It's for you. And so I think we'll probably spend about 30 minutes doing the kind of the setup and the presentation here, and then the rest of that time, certainly want to get to those questions. The questions are where the meatiness is. You know what your fears, you know your uncertainties, you know your doubts, you know the things that are kind of in your head as you take this next step. Because as you can see on the very first slide here, it's a now. It's not a later anymore. We have to get started and continue our automation journeys. We're gonna get our butt spanked, frankly, if we don't. So this is a really important presentation, really important conversation, not because I happen to work at Formic, but because in general, having been in this industry for a long time, the reason I'm at Formic is because this is an incredibly pivotal time to be in this space, and we have to do it. It's a matter of how we do it, not if we do it. So I want to start with a story here that maybe sets up why I think this is important. So when I was young, one of my favorite things to do was to go to Best Buy and shop for new albums on CD. I'd go through the TVs and look at all the big screens I couldn't afford and the new computers and the tech. And I remember I got my first laptop before college, and I needed the Geek Squad to take a look at an issue for me. And so I went in, and the nice dude behind the counter squinted at me through his oversized glasses at the tip of his nose, and he proceeded to talk to me in his geek speak about what was going on. And I'll be honest, I was totally lost. And if I'm honest, frankly, I didn't care. I'm not an expert at computers. Honestly, I didn't want to be an expert at computers. I just needed it to work so I could focus on my schoolwork and get everything done. The computer was just a vehicle. The schoolwork was what was important. And really, I think that's how a lot of us feel when it comes to automation. If you're like me at the Geek Squad counter, you just want automation to work so you can focus on other things. And if you're someone who doesn't want to be a robot expert, if you're someone who wants to be able to focus on what you're good at and leave that to someone else, but you still know you probably need to invest in some automation for your plant, again, this is a webinar for you, and I really think you're going to get a lot out of it. Our team gets the privilege of being in hundreds of manufacturing plants a year. And as we've talked to executives of mid-market food, beverage, CPG companies, probably like many of you, there are some pretty common themes that continue to emerge on the challenges that they're focused on right now and in the near term. There is no question labor scarcity is the number one conversation we hear over and over again. There's going to be 2.1 million unfilled manufacturing jobs by 2030. That's freaking scary because we can't fill the roles now, and they're going to be even harder to fill in just 5 years. And 5 years goes by just like that. The people we do have in the plant turn over all the time. It's hard to keep them. They don't show up to work. They show up late to work. It causes chaos because we're trying to move people from one line to the other to fill more important roles. We're running the line slower because we don't have enough labor in the lines to keep up with the normal speeds that we're supposed to be at, which causes production delays, customer complaints, frustrations. It's a cascading issue that is created with labor in the plant. And the people we do have who do show up cost us more every year. The raw material costs are going up. The labor costs are up between 2.7 and 3.5% on average. Raw material costs themselves are up 5.3%. And even that's probably old numbers that continue to go up. The customer themselves, though, their demands aren't going down. Their demands continue to be high. In fact, we're being forced as manufacturers to become more agile to meet their demands. Hey, I need you to run a few of these things. I need you to run it in this sort of format, whatever it may be. More agile operations, shorter runs, more changeovers. It makes profitability a real challenge at times because the COGS are rising, the COGS are increasing. Chargebacks and fines for incorrect shipments, fears and uncertainties around the tariffs that maybe are kind of quelling now, but still are out there. And then safety concerns. I leave this one for the end because there's a phrase that I've been using a lot that encompasses what I'm hearing from people, executives who I tend to talk to on a weekly basis. And that phrase is just because we can, does that mean that we should? And here's what I mean by that. There's a rising understanding that just because I can hire Carol to come and work in the plant and she stays for 6, 9, 12, 18, 24 months and then leaves and I hire someone else, just because I can do that doesn't mean I should, because what happens is long after Carol leaves, Carol's still having back problems. Carol's still having joint issues. Carol's still struggling to pick up her grandkids 10 years from now. These are people in our communities. These are people who we run into at the grocery store, at Target, in line, picking up kids at the elementary school. These are our neighbors. And is it really the right thing to do to continue to staff positions in the plant that are prone to injury and prone to ergonomic challenges and problems when there are alternatives that cost the same or maybe even less in the automation space? The answer is I don't think we should just because we can. So I think in a lot of ways, there is an awareness that something's got to give, something has to change. We have to do something different. And the way we've always done it isn't necessarily working anymore. We can't just keep on throwing temp labor at the problem, training, having people not show up, having people turn over, having the morale issues in the plant of temp labor. They wear different hats, they wear different masks, they wear different beard nets. They don't even look like us. They're not really even one of us. Uh, we can't just keep on. We have a lot of folks who are diversifying their products, which is nice. It's nice to offer more to our customers, but there's a challenge there as well where we increase our complexity, we lower our profitability, increase our changeovers. We dilute our brand identity at times because, like, you were my guy who did these products for so long, and now you're doing this over here. Who are you? What are you? What do you do? We have a risk of lower profitability as a result of those decisions, and our margins that are already squeezed continue to slow our growth. We do get into lean manufacturing. It's important. I come from that space. I think process simplification is really important, but it does make us, as David alluded to, more vulnerable to supply chain disruptions that are already knocking at our door, employee burnout. It can reduce our flexibility. And then here we are today on the automation conversation. And the traditional approach to automation is very expensive. It takes a lot of your time and it requires a level of internal expertise that many of you may feel, rightly so, you haven't really had a chance to gain with a degree of confidence. But we're all here because we do have an interest in and a need for automation. It is a now, not a later. So what are your options? Well, there are three. You can do it yourself. That's the first one. Frankly, if you're even considering doing it yourself, you're probably in the wrong session because there are very few of us who want to take on that challenge. And for the rest of us who aren't qualified to work at the robotics geek squad counter, if you will, we can turn to the pros. Those would be the integrators who can design, build, install whatever you need, and then they walk away. Yes, it can be tailored to your needs, but it can get expensive. It can take a very long time, and change orders can get out of control, causing the costs to go way up. It's almost a guarantee it's going to happen. Way too many folks have bought a robot and paid 90% up front and have been waiting months or years to get what they paid for. We see it every week. It is painful. Then there's this newer approach that folks are turning to more often. Surprise, surprise, this is where we live. We'll talk more about that, but full service automation. I remember back in 1999 when Salesforce brought software as a service to the market. And early on, the IT guys were like, no, I must continue to design and build and deploy my own software. And then a few years later, they were like, yeah, maybe I'll give this SaaS thing a try. And now, I don't know how many of you are still downloading Microsoft Word on your laptop from CDs Or how many of you prior to joining this meeting asked for a native version of Zoom on your computers? Literally nobody is doing that. We aren't in the 1999 version of exploring full service automation these days. It's not that new anymore that it seems crazy. There are hundreds of manufacturers who have done it, but some of you today haven't really heard much about it. So we're going to cover that in detail. However, regardless of the option that you choose, do it yourself, hire the pros, or full service automation, you do need to do a few things when it comes to planning the right approach. So, what are those things? First, you need to decide where you're going to automate. So, where are your bottlenecks? What are your goals? Where are there common, repetitive tasks that honestly don't require much brain power? They require hands, they require feet, joints, muscle mass, brain power, not so much. And uh, where are, in the scheme of things, in the plant, and what's your capital project list? How are you going to fund those things? Usually, we're not sitting on unlimited capital. We've got a finite list, but a very long list of projects that we want to fund, and we can't fund them all. And because we can't fund them all, a lot of times the projects like we're talking about today, packing and stacking and manual repetitive tasks at end of line, get pushed to next year or the year after, or we don't do them at all. But like we started this whole conversation today, we're going to have to do them. And so we need to have other options. Other questions for you to consider as you move forward. When are you going to do it? How are you going to minimize disruption to your production facility? How long is it going to take to put in? Are you prepared to train your employees on working with automation or nearby automation as they do their daily tasks to keep them safe? Are we smoothly integrating manual and automated processes to work seamlessly together so it's not clunky? I remember I walked into a facility years ago, and they hadn't really figured out their conveyor system yet. They had an employee literally standing between two conveyor belts, picking a product off of one conveyor belt and plopping it onto another conveyor belt because they hadn't figured out how to do a 90-degree turn. Um, it's laughable, yes, and it's a crazy use of human capital in a plant, but it's one of those inherent things where, like, if you haven't done it before, there's a lot that can go wrong and a lot of questions, and it causes more issues than not sometimes. So, uh, integrating manual or automated processes to work seamlessly is harder to do than it sounds like it could be sometimes. Do we have the time to consistently monitor and optimize those workflows? Well, all that said and done, for do-it-yourselfers, I can't really tell you how long it's going to take. It could be all over the board depending on the project you tackle, but it ain't quick. And again, most of you on this call are not going to go that route anyway. So for the rest of us, hiring the pros will take months of time to identify the right systems integrator or SI, get your 3 to 5 quotes to make sure you're not getting hosed on price, turn them loose on the project, hope it doesn't get out of hand with change orders and delays, deploy it, and then cross your fingers and hope it works as promised. A lot of times we hear customers receiving quotes from integrators and OEMs saying, oh, this robot can definitely do this collaborative robot can do 16 cycles per minute, no problem. You're good to go. And they get it. And I was in a facility last week, or last month rather, in Boston, 2 collaborative robots sitting there unused because they weren't meeting expectations. Why? Because many, many times you get promised rates that, yes, the robot can do that. And you're like, great, well, that's really what I need it to do, right? Yes. Perfect. Great fit for us. The cycles, the cycle times, the uh, cycles per minute they've been quoted is based on theoreticals in a test environment. You have a dusty, wet, crazy plant. People are running into things with forklifts and spraying things down that shouldn't be sprayed. And life is not a test environment. Life is not a test tube. Life is real and life is messy. And a lot of times we get these situations where we're quoted things that should work in test environments that do not work in our facilities. I moved recently and I had to hire a junk company to get rid of stuff that I didn't need anymore, remove this thing from my backyard and take this couch out. And I don't know if you've hired any of those junk companies before to grab your stuff, but you just point. In fact, their motto is for some of them, point and it's gone, right? I need that gone. Great. Could I have done that myself? Probably. I have way more important things to do though, and that is not worth my time. And for those interested in full service automation, you just point to what you want automated and it's done. You pay nothing until it's on your shop floor working as promised, and it completely removes the barrier to entry for most of the folks who we work with every day. So the cost of waiting to automate, why now? It is a now. Again, it's not a later. One of the most important business lessons I learned earlier in my career, and many of you may have learned the same lesson, was doing nothing also has a cost. And while some of us are hesitant to jump into automation for a good reason, it's not our skill set, it's not our forte, there is a cost. We face higher operational costs than necessary. We continue to struggle with turnover in those repetitive, monotonous jobs that nobody wants. Those jobs are going to cost us more every single year. And our people keep getting hurt, or there's a real risk that they're going to get hurt. We don't maximize our capacity and our throughput. It impacts our revenue. It impacts our growth goals. And honestly, we're at risk of a competitor doing it first and losing business to them. Our customers' demands, your customers' demands, aren't going away.
Okay.
And unfortunately, loyalty doesn't really mean what it used to. They just want products cheaper, faster, at the same or better quality. So there are a few things that could go wrong with automation that I want to point out for you, and these are things just to be aware of. Whether whoever you go with, just be aware that in a do-it-yourself or hire the pros environment, these are important to keep in mind. A supplier, make sure you kind of grill them a bit. Have they done projects like yours before? How many times have they done this project before? What's your level of confidence? They won't overpromise and underdeliver. For capital projects, unfortunately, once it's installed, it's your problem. And any promises or shiny things and bells and whistles that were promised to you, now it's on you to make sure to keep on working. And again, if you're promised something that only works in a test environment and not in your facility, it could be an issue. Limited use design. When you do get on your shop floor, a lot of times the design doesn't often or sometimes always function as promised. A lot of people on this call may have a failed project or two under a tarp in a back room because we've learned this the hard way. I was in a facility in Denver 2 weeks ago, and they literally brought us into an entire room. I mean, 1,000, 2,000 square foot room full of automation that did not function as promised and is collecting dust. So that may be familiar. Hopefully it's not familiar, but it may be familiar for some of you guys. Avoidable downtime. The system often works, but not as efficiently as it should have. And it goes down. It doesn't work as fast as it's supposed to. It creates quality issues. And then once again, back under the tarp in the back room because it's just more of a pain than it is a benefit. And then the multiplying maintenance costs. Nobody here on this call has maintenance techs blowing up their phones and inboxes looking for jobs. You can't find them. And so staffing them to fix robots can be a challenge. The ones you do have staffed are stretched thin already, and you have to keep them focused on upstream processes and equipment. So if it happens to be a case packer or palletizer that has a problem, it gets the shaft on repairs and PMs. I was at a diaper facility recently. Never thought I'd say that in my entire life until I got into this industry. But I was at a diaper facility, incredibly automated, incredibly complex, incredibly expensive capital equipment sitting around doing incredible work every day. And they said, we have maintenance techs on staff, but we haven't done PMs on our end of line automation, particularly their palletizers for them, in a year and a half because our limited time has to be spent on processing, because if that goes down, we have a real problem. So they literally said, we are just fingers crossed any moment this palletizer is going to go down. It's going to be a major issue, but we have to cross that bridge when it comes, because it's not high on our list. So it is challenging to maintain this sort of equipment, and you often don't have enough people to do it. So we're sitting here going, holy crap, Joel, there's a lot that can go wrong, and there's a lot to think about. Honestly, you're right. And it's why 70% or more of our customers have not deployed any end of line automation until they met us. Because it takes capital they don't have, it takes time they don't have, and requires internal support from employees they don't have. And that's why Formic exists. That's the whole reason why we started Formic. We can help you automate now without capital, without having to hire anybody to maintain it, and we're completely removing all risk of failure. You just use your existing OpEx budget to fund Formic. There's no CapEx, and you pay nothing until it's live on your plant floor operating as promised. This makes our customers see us as a very financially accessible way to get into automation and stretch their capital budgets further, fund more projects now, and grow or improve their businesses at a faster rate. Since we fully manage every aspect of the deployment maintenance, training, programming, literally everything, soup to nuts, your maintenance teams can focus upstream on processing and your existing critical equipment. You can just forget about that part of your plant. We've got that covered. We will handle it. We will make sure it's working when it's supposed to work. And since we are a totally flexible pay-as-you-go option, many of our customers have month-to-month contracts. Some of them have taken longer-term agreements to maximize discounts. But you can grow at your speed. It's easy to throw a palletizer in for a few months, test it in the plant, get comfortable, see if you like it, see if this makes sense. Switch automation if your needs change with no contractual impact based on what we call our flex program. Grow your business without having to tie up your capital and hamper your ability to fund your critical growth projects. And do it without risk and without having to hire a single person. We are everything you need to automate now and keep it running. We provide the system to do the job right, the parts and service to keep it running, and even, I'll tease you on this, we haven't done a hard launch on this yet, but the tech to improve productivity. We engineer your robot from beginning to end. The robot itself, fully spec'd, production ready. It's a robot XL tailored to your throughput needs. And deploy your robot, the freight, the install, programming, training everybody on every shift who needs to touch this thing and work around it. We do all of it. The parts and service, we guarantee performance. We have contractual commitments on how this robot should perform, guaranteed uptime, and the operational confidence that you can have as a result of knowing it will work when it works, when it's supposed to work, is the reason our customers turn to us. We monitor your robot every minute of every day. We have people who are bilingual, ready to support you for any issues you have. 90% of things can be fixed with over-the-air updates. It's amazing the stuff that you can do with modern equipment. I don't know if you've been in a Tesla and suddenly, next week you've got, 20 more horsepower than you had the week before, and you're like, how? You didn't even touch my car. It's because they pushed an update to it, and somehow they were able to improve the way the car operates. Same thing in modern equipment these days. We can do over-the-air updates that helps you keep that thing running without having to have anyone come on site. And 90% of the things we have to deal with are those sort of things. So we know what's going on with your equipment. We can help you remotely, and we can get it running remotely. If there is something that requires us to come on site to do, okay, you ran into it with the forklift, some crazy thing happened, all the service, the repairs, the parts, all the updates, the reprogramming, any new recipes, all the things that you need to keep it running is on us too. And then the tech to improve productivity. We have launched something called Formic Production Intelligence. We will officially unveil this at Pack Expo this year. It is through beta. We have customers using it. And by the time a robot's ever on your shop floor, you'll be able to take advantage of this. So I'm going to tease you with it now, but swing by our booth at Pack Expo too. The ability to capture production data, measuring real-time production data instead of having to collect it on paperwork. And how many cases have you made today right now? How many pallets have you stacked right now? For some of you, maybe many of you, the answer is I don't know. Let me go ask somebody, or let me go check our ERP system for a delayed report that I'll get later on this evening when everything's done, or I'll look at it tomorrow morning. This is changing the game when it comes to the Formic offering and the value our customers get out of our partnership. Measure your real-time production data in real time instead of relying on guesswork. Use your production data. You can take that data and then spot bottlenecks and fix them quickly, and then make improvements by establishing repeatable production standards and keeping your teams accountable for performance. This is the last leg of the stool. The system to do the job right, the parts to keep it running, and the technology to help you improve your productivity with Formic. And all that is included in one flat monthly price that does not change. You can turn that variable cost into a fixed cost with zero surprises. And if you sign a 5-year contract, which you certainly could, you are it's a hedge on labor, it's a hedge on your OpEx costs, because at the end of the day, you are guaranteeing here's how much it costs me to run my line at the end. And you're no longer a slave to whatever happens, whoever shows up, whatever variables occur based on human labor. Because today, what you're spending your money on is human labor. 1, 2, maybe more people packing off your lines. That human labor is fallible. It makes mistakes. It isn't always reliable. We as human beings are not good robots. That's why robots exist. And we as human beings create bottlenecks and downtime, unreliable throughput. We're constantly hiring and onboarding and training people. They're getting hurt. They're not showing up. Our safety record is impacted. Workman's comp claims go up. Rising insurance premiums, annoy and frustrate us, rightfully so. People make errors. People create problems that lead to rejects. People lead to rework. People complain themselves, but can lead to customer complaints. And if you have overtime and your employees are burning out, which a lot of you may be struggling with, everything I just mentioned just gets worse. Because now we're tired. Now we're not paying attention. Now we're working slower. And this creates this daily reactive managerial effort across multiple departments in production, material handling, shipping, quality, and HR are all impacted by those people and the challenges that it comes down to that arise when it comes to managing them and ensuring they're doing their jobs the right way. It completely goes away with Formic. With Formic, your OpEx spend creates production stability and predictability, consistent throughput, no more hiring, onboarding, or training for people for packing and stacking jobs, the elimination of injuries and absenteeism, and improved safety record, end of line, reduced workman's comp claims and lower insurance premiums, fewer errors, fewer rejects, less rework, less customer complaints, reduced overtime or burnout, and you can now focus your leadership team on anything else. Back to the Geek Squad counter, just make it work so I can get my schoolwork done. With Formic, just take care of my end-of-line needs so I can focus on everything else I have to do. And that's where we come in, impacting production, material handling, shipping, quality, HR, by just putting in automation that works. At the end of the day, Formic is not a labor replacement. It literally helps your whole operation run better because your slowdowns and mistakes and wasted time go away. And that's why we're the #1 choice for food and CPG manufacturers like you to automate without capital, without internal resources, and without risk. This is all we do, and we do it very, very well. Our customers rely on us for their success, and it is successful. 97% of our customers renew with us. 66% of them continue to expand and add more systems because they're like, shoot, that was easy. Let's do it again. And it does work when it's supposed to work. We have an average of 99.3% uptime across all the systems we have in the field right now. That is unparalleled uptime and performance. And we deliver the equivalent of 7 months of human labor every single business day with those robots in the field, making us the undisputed experts on getting successful end-of-line automation implemented in plants like yours. If anyone's familiar with Landfrost or knows the meat industry at all, you'll know they're an iconic family-owned company who really cares about their people and their company culture. And about, I don't know, a month or two ago, David Van Eckeren, the CEO and owner of Landfrost, he posted on LinkedIn a perfect explanation as to why they're the sort of company that chooses to automate like this. He just received the prestigious Richard L. Knowlton Award this year, and in his post, and as he announced this on LinkedIn, he said, "We have a simple but powerful purpose to make every day more fulfilling than the last. I'm proud of how we put our people first, valuing and supporting our employees while innovating for our customers to meet their needs." What I want to highlight for you is everything I just talked about, the OpEx cost reduction, the elimination of safety issues. Yes, uh, that stuff goes into how they support their employees. That goes into how they help their customers better, reducing their complaints, improving their quality, improving the confidence in their relationships together. But look how long it took. 5 palletizers deployed in a weekend. They pointed, like the junk guys, right? They pointed, and we installed 5 robots on their shop floor before people got back to work on Monday. And since then, they were able to save 20% on labor-related OpEx and haven't had to worry about a thing since we've done everything else. Even created a new robot operator role, elevating an employee to the position of robot operator who now just manages those palletizers across the end of line in the room that they used to have multiple people on every line. Now they have this person roving back and forth, and feels very, very important to have the title of robot operator, which is pretty cool. This really is the easiest way, you guys, to get started with automation. On the screen right now, you can see a few different ways to reach out, to take the next step and get an official proposal to validate if Formic's a good fit for you. We'll come on site. That single visit will give you everything you need to make a good decision if Formic is going to be a good fit, rather than weeks or months of back and forth with systems integrators. We need a morning or an afternoon, and we'll just knock it out for you. We'll do a similar overview of Formic for your leadership team, much shorter than this, to ensure their awareness, their buy-in. Take a shop floor tour, scope each line where Formic can help. We'll help you with an ROI assessment if you need it. If you haven't had to do something like that before for a project like this, we'll make your life easier and just handle it with you and co-create that. We'll then do a strawman timeline review to determine the right go-live dates based on your availability and ours. And then within a day or two, you can have a proposal of whether you want to move forward or not. It's really, really that easy. So all that said, we'd love to get started with you, but I'm sure you have several questions, comments, things you want to talk about. I'm happy to turn over to David, and we'll go through all those questions and answer them.
Hey, Joel, thanks so much. Very informative presentation. Did see a few questions come across the airwaves, so I'll start with the first one. So back to your comparison between do-it-yourself, hiring integrators, and full-service automation. The question is, for smaller manufacturers used to managing everything in-house, how do you help them shift mindset and trust a fully managed RAAS model?
Yeah. For those listening, RAAS, Robots as a Service, RAS, similar to SaaS. It is a mindset change. It's back to what I kind of mentioned with the Salesforce thing, right? I mean, IT teams were very used to doing all their IT in-house. They're like, well, why should I ever download something and I'd like to manage this myself? It is a mindset shift. I think at the end of the day, it comes to business priorities. What are your priorities right now? What projects do you have? What capital do you have available to you? What level of risk tolerance do you have to do it yourself? And based on those answers, would you like to just try it? that's one of the beautiful things about Formic is that you're not you have two options. Go the capital route and do it all yourself in-house, and you're stuck with the result, and hopefully it's good because you spent two, three, four, $500,000 on that thing, and you are now stuck with it. With Formic, you're not stuck. A lot of our customers have systems that are simple enough where we can just do a 3-month trial or POC. And if they don't like it, they can rip it out. And they would have spent the same or probably less on that palletizer than the labor they would have spent in that 3-month period of time anyway. And so the risk is zero. And so you get to try and experience it yourself and put your feet in the water and not commit until you're really, really ready. And so even our customers who can afford it, they're like, we got the capital. We may even have the bandwidth internally, but we haven't done it before. We're going to try Formic for a year, maybe 2 years. And then when we're comfortable and confident and competent and we're robot experts, now we'll go buy it. We're really the most flexible way to try it out.
That's great. Another question here, Joel. What's the best way for customers interested to see the equipment somewhere first?
See the equipment. Yes. I think that is one of the best benefits of kind of the Formic model. We have a lot of happy customers, and there's a lot of happy customers who are happy to host on-site events and things like that. So it kind of depends where you are in the country. There's a few different options for you. The first would be to participate in what we call our Formic community events. So we even have a community event coming up in the next 6 weeks or so in California, where one of our customers is opening their facility to have you come on site. They're sharing their automation story, why they decided to go with Formic, letting you see the automation in person on their shop floor. If you're not like us and you don't get to be in hundreds of manufacturing plants a year and you're kind of in yours a lot, it's a great opportunity to see another organization and see them using Formic. So you get hands-on there. Once a year, we do our MCQ event in Woodridge, where we invite folks to come in and see all the automation we offer, to get hands-on, ask questions, meet our executive team, see everything behind the scenes, if you will. But if you do find yourself interested in doing a one-off visit, I'm happy to host you at our Woodridge facility near Chicago and do a one-on-one personal invite there as well. And then lastly, if you just want to see what we're talking about beyond the pictures that you're seeing here right now, our YouTube channel is and our website's full of videos and things to show you customers in action.
That's awesome. Thanks, Joel. A couple more here. Do we get any kind of data from your equipment about line performance?
Yeah, so that's actually back to what I was mentioning here on the far right. So the ability to capture production data. What SKU are we running? How many units are we looking to put in case? How many cases are we looking to make in the next several hours on this run? How many have we made so far? What's our estimated end time for this run based on the number of cases we're trying to make? How many pallets have we palletized and wrapped? That this is the information that we're able to provide. Are we ahead or are we behind schedule? If we're behind schedule, it's prompting you in a mobile app interface to go and figure out why, or flagging it for operators to go, hey, you're behind. What's going on right now? And that's the ability to, in real time, spot those bottlenecks and go, we're supposed to have created 6,000 cases so far. We've made 4. What's going on? And a lot of time that data is, something you find tomorrow morning or at the end of the shift. You're not even on site. You have 3 facilities you manage and you're over here and you find out hours later that you're behind schedule in your production. You don't have to have that issue anymore. You will know in real time.
That's great. Time for a few more here. Another one came in. I imagine some companies are hesitant to give up control or shift from traditional ownership. What's been the most common hesitation you've encountered, and how do you help customers get past that?
It's a really good question. I'm trying to figure out the best way to answer that because it's a bit multifaceted. At the end of the day, it comes down to business priority. What is our priority? and what is our risk tolerance? Um, I've worked with several organizations in the last 6 months who have similar desires, and yet here we are in 2025, and they still haven't automated end of line backing and stacking. So they desire ownership or they desire control, but they haven't done anything yet. And so there's a few things I think about. First, wonderful, go buy it. But the problem is you don't have the staff to support it. You don't have the experience to keep it running. And labor, and when it comes to maintenance folks, they're hard to find. And they're being traded back and forth between facilities and your industrial complexes every single day. And so if the strategy is I want to own, you also need to support it. And you need to have confidence that you're going to have the people internally to support it well. And unfortunately, even the best intentions, it's a challenge. Secondly, ownership requires stability. Ownership means that I know for the next 3 to 5 years, during which time I'm going to have to pay this thing off. And I'm not going to break even on this capital investment until that time. By the way, I did an analysis. On average, it takes our customers 67 months when it comes to total cost of ownership to break even on a purchase. So the question is, do I want to spend the next 67 months hopefully breaking even on a purchase and then save a little money? Or do I want to redeploy that same $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 toward growth and use my OpEx spend to automate? Even if I decide to go the capital route and I want to own, I have to know that 67 months from now, my SKU mix, my customer demands, my materials, nothing is changing. Where this robot will definitely still be usable 67 months from now. And unfortunately, this is why, again, we just talked about this at the beginning of the whole presentation, the volatility, the customer demands, it's not changing, it's getting worse. And so with that SKU mix changing and the risk around what's it going to look like 1 year from now, 2 years from now, I don't even know the answer there, let alone 67 months from now. Do I want to buy something and then have it sit and collect dust? And unfortunately, that is why we see a lot of palletizers collecting dust in the back room.
Joel, another one came in while you're answering that question. So Formic seems to have been scaling rapidly, and the broader automation space seems to be exploding as well. What do you attribute that growth to? Is it mostly tech maturity, shifting labor economics, or something else driving this surge?
Yeah, and I think I addressed this right at the beginning very quickly. It is the labor thing. It's the awareness that the problems I'm having are not getting better; they're going to get worse. And if they're going to get worse, I can't take it anymore. It's a major issue. And again, I mentioned this right at the first slide or two, but 2.1 million unfilled manufacturing jobs in the next 5 years. Are they going to be the more skilled positions? Probably some, but there's certainly going to be the positions where the turnover is already high, and it's going to get even worse. And the last job someone wants is picking up a 50-pound, box and stacking it at 48 inches high, 8, 10 hours a day. That's going to be the one that goes away.
That's great. Why don't we do two more here? So this one seems highly relevant. I have older equipment that can't connect to new equipment. Can I add your stuff to my line?
100%. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, we are working in 90 plus 100-year-old facilities. We're working in, built last year facilities. We're even often part of the planning journey of like, I'm building a facility from the ground up. Again, limited capital. Do I want to spend it on 5 palletizers and tie up $1 million, $2, $3 million on equipment there? Or do I want to put it somewhere else, fund a new line, fund that fourth line, make the room bigger, whatever it is? Whether it's greenfield or it's a legacy operation that's been around for 3, 4, 5 generations, we've seen it all.
That's great. And then what if we want to change our packaging format or shift to a different case size?
So that's literally what we just talked about, and this is the value of what we do at Formic. You're going to. That's the problem. Is that like that's going to happen. That's why you're asking the question. That's going to happen. And so with capital purchases, you're stuck. You're like, I guess we're gonna have to run that on a different line. I guess we have to say no to that customer. I guess we have to buy a new palletizer. And I haven't even finished depreciating this one. It's now it's gonna sit underneath the tarp and collect dust. That's a major problem. With Formic, it's not a major problem because we have a set number of what we call our automate now palletizers that, based on the speeds, the stack heights, the case sizes, the case weights, the rates, whatever it may be, we can just plop you into a different one and meet those needs instead. Most often, your contract length and your contract terms don't change. You just keep cranking away with your 2, 3, 5, whatever year contract you've got. We're not extending anything, and we make it very, very simple.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Joel. Appreciate your time. Looks like we've run through our questions. We're right past 45 minutes past the hour. I want to thank everyone so much for joining today's webinar. Special thanks to Joel. That's how you can get in touch with Joel and the Formic team. We will follow up with this webinar, the recording of this webinar, with everyone who registered. Feel free to pass it around. It'll also live on the member resources area of our website. And definitely encourage you to get in touch with Joel and engage with Formic at a future SNAC International event. But thanks again, Joel. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.